A race for life in Northern California when a firestorm swept down on Oakland and Berkeley. The flames are contained, but the damage is massive.
This is NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw, reporting tonight from NBC News headquarters in New York.
Good evening. It's been a war against fire for 2 days now in the hills above the San Francisco Bay, and tonight officials are confident of victory. But the costs have been enormous, an estimated $1.5 billion in damage, 10 lives lost. The worst damage was in the hills above Berkeley and Oakland, east of San Francisco, and NBC's George Lewis is there tonight.
The devastation goes on and on, hillside after hillside on the east end of Oakland and neighboring Berkeley. This morning, as the full extent of the destruction became clear, people started drifting back to the remains of the homes they had been forced to abandon. Don Perkins had just moved to the area 6 weeks ago. He was living with his cousins.
I can't believe this. I just can't believe this. They're everywhere around. It's like hell. I can't believe what I'm looking at.
Years of drought in California and a weekend of high winds had taken their toll. This is an affluent area with comfortable homes and stunning views of the San Francisco Bay. When the smoke clears, about the only thing that people here will have is the view. It began Saturday as a relatively minor brush fire. After firefighters thought they had it extinguished, the blaze was fanned back into life by 40-mile-an-hour winds.
Clear that brush out. Get the ladder out now and put it up on the roof.
By Sunday afternoon, it was a firestorm with flames 100 feet high, consuming everything in its path.
Can you give me some slack on that hose back there?
Firefighters and residents mounted a futile attempt to hold it back. Often, people just watched in frustration as their homes went up in flames.
Oh, beautiful house.
A few individuals who lingered too long got hurt. After rescuing his mother, John Jorgensen tried to save some belongings and ended up riding his motorcycle through a wall of flame.
It just whipped up, and the whole street was just a big flame, and all I could do was close my eyes and go through.
By the early hours of this morning, the winds died down and firefighters began to get the upper hand. California Governor Pete Wilson appealed to the White House for disaster relief aid. People here are no strangers to disaster. They had just marked the second anniversary of the big earthquake that shook the San Francisco Bay Area in 1989.
We have done all the earthquake preparedness we needed to do, but an earthquake is nothing like this.
The flames are dying out. The shock is wearing off. The pain and anguish are just beginning. George Lewis, NBC News, Oakland.
For those who live in the Bay Area, it is a paradise, but for the past couple of years, the ravages of nature have not been kind, but they have been random. NBC's Bob Dotson with one family story.
The light breaking over the old Claremont Hotel was sun, not fire. And that was something.
It's like the top house now. It used to not be the top house.
Bart Ostro could see the back of his home. The front, if there was one, he could not.
It's like the only one that's still smoking there.
The storm of hot ash began near here and still smoldered.
I think there's only 3 houses left on that street.
Bart and his wife Susie needed to look for his medicine left behind in the house. No one was allowed up the hill.
Oh, it's just roller coaster.
Susie was returning from an AIDS conference in Florida when she was turned back a block from the house.
If they're worried about embers and things like that, they should let me up now.
Bart was cut off for a time playing tennis on the court where he stood 2 years ago this week when that big earthquake rattled across the Bay Area.
They were lucky then. This time, they saved nothing but hope.
You'll get all your papers and stuff. We'll be able to go back up there. You really think I should?
A fire retardant had been dropped on their house. On either side, a graveyard of chimneys.
Said your house is gone.
You can see the house from here.
They can see the house from down here. Did you have a wrong address, or is it just the facade that's there?
Their eyes had not deceived them.
In the house. Do you have a cat up there?
Yeah.
Okay, do you have a carrier for the cat?
No.
He has. We told him to put it in a plastic bag, and he's going to put it in his bite box.
On the side of the
Hoping he had
Bart Ostro is an air pollution specialist. He moved to the Bay Area to study the health effects of wood smoke. He'll start on his own street. Bob Dotson, NBC News, Berkeley.
From a major natural disaster to a major environmental case tonight, the U.S. Federal Appeals Court today overturned the Environmental Protection Agency's ban on asbestos. Now that's story now from NBC's Robert Hager.
Asbestos is dangerous, can cause cancer when its fibers, so tiny they're visible only under a microscope, escape into the air and are breathed. Long ago, it was banned as an insulation and is still being stripped from schools and offices. Today's court ruling permits that ban to continue, but strikes down the government's efforts to go further and forbid asbestos in other products. It could also make it harder for the government to ban other toxic substances. Specifically overturned today, an Environmental Protection Agency regulation that banned in 1990 asbestos in water pipe wraps, cement sheets, and felt liners for roofs and floors. Banned by the end of '93, asbestos in brake pads and linings for cars and trucks. And banned by the end of '96, use in roof coatings, millboard, and in cement in some water pipes. The asbestos industry was delighted today.
And these products, they're different. They can be manufactured and installed and used safely and do not present any unreasonable risk to the employees or to the consumers of these products.
Today's ruling said EPA failed to consider alternative solutions short of an outright ban and failed to allow opponents of the ban enough opportunity to challenge disputed facts. Environmentalists were upset.
I think the average consumer should be very alarmed that the authority that Congress supposedly gave to the EPA to be able to protect people against dangerous substances is being very restrictive by the Court of Appeals in this decision.
Key to the debate, just how dangerous is asbestos when its fibers are not loose in the air? Some now believe it may be safer to leave old insulation undisturbed instead of removing it. It's not certain whether EPA will further appeal today's ruling. Robert Hager, NBC News, Washington.
When Nightly News continues in a moment, the confusion over the release of an American hostage. He may be out of captivity, but not yet completely free.
The need for the case.
And in the 90s tonight, the axe has been falling on white-collar workers around the country. Mike Jensen tells us how they're fighting back.
It is one thing to accelerate from standing start, quite another at high speeds. Infiniti designed the Q45 to do both. With a variable valve timing system so advanced, there is no compromise at any speed. Infiniti has, for the first time, blurred the lines between luxury and performance.
In medical tests, people fell asleep faster and slept better with Unisom than without. Now I'm sleeping and sleeping. Unisom for faster, better sleep.
Have you had your V8 today? Did you know that V8 juice has more vitamins A and C than that tossed salad? Wow! V8 is a nutritious blend of 8 vegetable juices that taste terrific. Have you had your V8 today?
I'm David Garcia in Los Angeles with the late development from the Middle East. American Jesse Turner has apparently been freed by his captors after nearly 5 years as a hostage in Beirut. However, it's been a long day for Turner and his family. The Iranian news agency announced Monday that Turner had been released and would be turned over to Syrian authorities somewhere in Lebanon. His release did not happen, and for much of the day, Turner's whereabouts were a mystery. Now the release has taken place. Turner is 44 years old and was born in Boise, Idaho. He was abducted at gunpoint from Beirut University College, January 24th, 1987. A senior UN diplomat said he has been released and is en route to Damascus, but this has not been confirmed by the State Department. This latest development followed a number of events today. Earlier, the Islamic Jihad for the Liberation of Palestine announced someone would be released within 24 hours. Turner was later identified as the hostage to be released. Earlier today, before Turner's wife Bader knew her husband's fate, Tom Brokaw interviewed her about her conversation with the State Department.
You just had a conversation with the State Department official who's been coordinating your efforts and theirs. What's the latest that you've heard, Mrs. Turner?
I heard from the State Department 5 minutes ago that the American embassy in Beirut had been notified the American hostage Jesse Turner has been released and turned to the Syria, and they headed to Syria, but they haven't shown in Syria yet.
Is it possible that the Syrian government will keep him overnight there and then turn him over to the American embassy in the morning?
Yeah, this is what will happen.
You're familiar with that part of the world. As I remember, it takes, what, about 2 hours to drive from Beirut to Damascus through the Bekaa Valley, and that is that if you've got good cars and an escort, do you think that that's part of the reason for the delay?
It will take only 2 hours if the road is clear, of course. So that, I think, I don't know really what's going on.
I know that this must be a very difficult time for you. It's been a day of rising and falling emotions, but can you share with the audience tonight some of your emotions at this moment?
Yeah, it's a great feeling, of course, but as I said, I can't believe that he will be freed until I see him on TV or I meet him.
Thank you very much, Bader Turner, tonight in Boise, Idaho, and we hope that you'll see him before too long.
Turner has never seen his young daughter, Joanne. Now plans are being made for Bader and Joanne to meet Turner when his location is confirmed. When Nightly News continues, we'll look at the American worker fighting unfair dismissals in the courts.
We want to show you what an American car company can do when we put our minds to it. In 1989, this Dodge Viper was just a concept. In January, it'll be rolling off an assembly line in Detroit, Michigan. Nobody in the country ever developed a car that fast. From now on, every new car Chrysler makes is going to be built the way this one was. And that's by a team. Product and manufacturing engineers, designers, finance guys, and marketers, all working together with one idea, making a great car. And this is where they'll do it, our new billion-dollar Chrysler Technology Center. We'll have 7,000 people here, designing, testing, hand-building prototypes. There's even a pilot factory to get it right before we produce a single car. We've been telling you about Chrysler Advantages for some time now. We've changed this company to give you even higher quality cars, faster, and at lower cost. For those of us who forgot, it's called being competitive.
With the chalky taste of some antacids, it can seem that the cure is worse than the pain. Introducing new Mylanta Cherry and Cool Mint Creams, the best tasting antacids, blended creamier for a non-chalky taste.
No wonder my doctor said Mylanta.
Because sometimes the day ends and the pain doesn't. We're introducing new Tylenol PM with extra strength Tylenol pain reliever plus a gentle ingredient to help you sleep. New Tylenol PM so you can rest easy.
Our daily difference tonight, in the 90s, with the economy limping along, corporations are trying to stay upright with massive job cuts across the country. They call all of this downsizing, but more and more angry workers are saying, tell it to the judge. NBC's chief financial correspondent is Mike Jensen.
It's 8 a.m. in Cleveland, and Laura Parkowski, her husband, and her lawyer are headed to court.
We're willing to bargain. But we're not going to bid against ourselves.
She's suing her former employer for wrongful discharge. She moved from Connecticut to Ohio to take a job as product manager for this company, which makes industrial film coating. Laura says she was promised a secure future and told that the job was hers as long as she performed adequately. But 9 months later, she was cleaning out her desk.
I didn't see it coming at all. I was told 2 days prior what a great job I was doing.
Her lawyer is suing for breach of implied contract.
That the employer makes statements to the employee that indicate that you don't have anything to worry about, that yes, you're coming to a secure job, we know about your reputation, we want you to do this work. Then those type of statements can frequently create an implied contract.
Attorneys for the Ohio company say Laura never was promised job security. But she and lots of others think differently. More than 25,000 wrongful discharge cases are being heard in courts around the country. 20 years ago, there were only 200. Laura's trial date is set for next February. But 8 out of 10 wrongful discharge cases are settled out of court. And with lawyers running ads like these, looking for cases, the number of suits grows daily. To stay out of court, some big companies like Atlantic Richfield pay fired workers not to sue.
This is money beyond the pension, money beyond your savings plan. It is new money to the employee.
But other big companies like IBM are headed to court. More than 400 people who used to work at this IBM plant in Lexington, Kentucky, have filed a class action lawsuit against the company. Last year, Richard Muse and other senior IBM workers were offered a retirement incentive plan. They say IBM told them it was the best they would ever get.
And that message was communicated by every level of management, including plant management and vice presidents of the corporation.
Muse and others took the buyout. But several months later, another retirement package was offered that was worth more than twice as much. Lawyer Ken Hall claims that IBM officials knew all along they would offer a better plan.
The rest of the communications coming were, and if you don't take this, of course we cannot guarantee that your job will continue to be the one that you have, or that now that you're so well established after 30 years or so in Lexington that you won't be moved to Minnesota or Mississippi or Connecticut.
IBM officials refused to be interviewed but issued this statement. IBM is proud of its tradition of respect for the individual and fairness in all employee matters. These principles are the basis of all of our dealings with our employees and retirees.
But principles and traditions are changing. Most companies no longer reward loyalty, no more lifetime jobs. And most workers believe that to get ahead, they have to switch companies. And increasingly to do something that was almost unheard of 10 years ago, to sue the boss when they think they've been wronged. Mike Jensen, NBC News, New York.
On tomorrow's Daily Difference, what works? You've heard, of course, of the old boy network. Well, now women are forming their own networks, and it's good for business.
Oh, no. Ellen, I'm knocked out. Touch Mommy. Touch Mommy.
What are you doing out there?
When it's cold and rough outside, try something warm and creamy inside. Instant cream of wheat in our new honey nut flavor. We're original cream of wheat.
Tomorrow, you get the paper.
2 warm ways to come in from the cold.
Now you can ask Angela Lansbury about Bufferin.
Angela, you've said on TV that Bufferin is effective pain relief. Is it really strong aspirin?
I'll say it is. Extra strength Bufferin's the strongest dose of aspirin you can buy. 1,000 milligrams.
Angela, how can Bufferin be so strong if it has buffers?
That's a good question. I've learned the buffers don't weaken it. They just help prevent aspirin's stomach upset. Bufferin's great pain relief.
Shouldn't you discover the strength of Bufferin?
Where do you want to be next year?
You know, I don't plan to be a partner in this firm forever. In fact, I've been doing something on the side that could be very rewarding. I have an offer to work full-time with some kids. Pays $11,000 a year. How can we restructure my portfolio so I can tell them yes?
You can get there from here. Mixers and Lehman Brothers.
Sure, plums are wonderful, but did you know ounce for ounce you get more vitamins and minerals after plums become prunes?
Sweet, delicious California prunes. Find out how good they really are.
Seniors save 30% at choice hotels like quality, comfort, Clarion, and sleep just by calling ahead.
Boy, what I won't do to save a buck.
Seniors save 30% by calling 1-800-4CHOICE to reserve a room. Rooms are limited. Call today.
The Democratic presidential field got candidate number 6 today. Former California Governor Jerry Brown entered the race. It's his 3rd try for the presidential nomination. Brown chose Philadelphia's Independence Hall to make his announcement, casting himself as an outsider, relying on small contributions and voter anger. He said government is run like a private club.
The leaders of Washington's incumbent party, both Democrats and Republicans, have failed their duty. They've placed their own interest above the national interest. They have allowed themselves to be trapped and in some cases corrupted by the powerful forces of greed. It's time for them to go.
A 53-year-old bachelor, Brown is a maverick. He trained as a Jesuit before moving on to law school in California politics. In 1974, Brown was elected governor, a job that his father held before him. After 2 unsuccessful presidential bids and a failed Senate race, Brown stayed away from elective politics, but now he's back in. Brown hopes to ride the current wave of voter disgust with Washington and Congress in particular. That's a trend that is exploding all across the country. One result, there's now a move to limit how long politicians can remain in office. NBC's Andrea Mitchell has more tonight.
People are angry and say they won't take it anymore. Public outrage over the Thomas hearings and the congressional gravy train is translating into a cry of throw the bums out.
It's about time they get them all out of there and start fresh.
And they've lost touch with the guy that has a hard time putting the mortgage together every month, keeping his family fed.
As respect for incumbents plunges, Republican challengers see an opening.
Hi, I'm Michael Conway, running for Congress. And you know how the congressmen have been bouncing checks, rubber checks? There's a rubber one for you.
Well, I'm on unemployment, and my checks are running out, and, they get money, they can be writing rubber checks and getting away with it. If I did something like that, I'd be in jail.
All across the country, politicians are taking it on the chin. In New Orleans, the vote was 2-1 this weekend to limit the city council to 2 terms. Houston has a similar referendum in November. California's state Supreme Court recently upheld the legality of term limits for state officials. Term limits have passed in Oklahoma and Colorado. And Washington state voters are likely to approve the nation's most sweeping term limitation proposal next month. Unlike the others, it would affect current members of Congress, including the Speaker of the House.
State organizations that are pushing initiatives and so on are not telling people in the states that it's unconstitutional. They're misrepresenting it. Fundamentally, what this is not a restriction on incumbents, it's a restriction on voters.
It's a form of stop me before I kill again. Voters have it within their power to send any office holder from office. All they have to do is vote against him.
It's hardly a grassroots movement. In Washington state, the organizers are liberal Democrats financed by conservative Republican interest groups based in Washington. The vice president has called it a top priority. Republicans are hoping the flap over Clarence Thomas and congressional perks will help their case. Unfortunately, some, like freshman Scott Klug, had to admit he'd bounced a few checks himself.
If you ever got to Washington, I'd like to extend an invitation for you to come by for a lunch in the congressional dining room. The bad news is I'll be paying with one of my checks.
Opponents argue that limiting terms would only increase the power of 2 groups even more suspect than members of Congress, lobbyists and congressional staff. Andrea Mitchell, NBC News at the Capitol.
The White House tonight says that President Bush is considering a tax cut, but calls the discussion embryonic. This announcement follows a Democratic proposal for a middle-class tax cut of $75 billion to help blow the economy out of the recession. On Wall Street today, profit-taking pushed the Dow Industrials down from Friday's record high. Trading today was moderate.
The financial report has been brought to you by Merrill Lynch. We're bullish on the future.
Risk. As hard as it is to live with, it's impossible to live without. At Merrill Lynch, we know that risk can be dealt with. It can be managed. It can even be turned to your advantage. To do that, you need a partner. A partner who understands it and can help you turn a world of risk into a world of opportunity. Merrill Lynch. We're bullish on the future.
I'm Teresa Richardson from Channel 8's Good Evening. Wetlands and meadows, rivers and streams, forests thick with wildlife. You can experience a piece of wilderness right in the city. Take a trip into nature and see your metropolitan green spaces. Pick up the current schedule of guided tours at Channel 8, Metro, Portland General Electric Service Centers, or call 273-5565. Visit your own backyard wilderness and get to know Mother Nature on a first-name basis.
These are remarkable cars, and I've left all this space to show you why. First, Dodge Spirit and Plymouth Acclaim are the lowest priced 6-passenger cars in the world, even with an airbag and all the goodies you see here. But okay, you want to spruce it up, so you start adding options: air, automatic, 4-speaker stereo. When you're through, you'll find that Spirit and Acclaim, with all this, are still the lowest priced 6-passenger cars on the planet. Now get a warranty choice no other manufacturer offers.
Alaska. Cold, clear waters. This is where it begins. Red Lobster now brings you the Alaskan Crab Rush. When snow crab is at its sweetest, juiciest. Right now, enjoy 8 great crab dinners starting at just $8.99. The Alaskan Crab Rush. Before it's over, rush to Red Lobster.
The Florida lottery has not had a winner in 4 weeks, so now the jackpot is $88 million, which will only add to America's gambling fever. Colorado is the latest state to go beyond the lottery, and NBC's Roger O'Neill reports tonight that has a lot of folks thinking rich in that state.
$440,000 is going to buy that property as we...
It was a high-stakes wager for small-stakes gambling.
Sold your way,
And it's been this way for months as doctors, lawyers, clothing store owners gamble on dumpy little buildings which are barely standing.
I've sold it to you, sir, $410,000, $460,000, $700,000, let's go.
100 years ago, it was gold coming out of the hills of Cripple Creek, Black Hawk, and Central City. Today, it's silver quarters going into slot machines. The stakes have certainly changed. Rick Melliger spent $3 million setting up the Annie Oakley Casino, but his chances of striking it rich are considerably better than the old-time miners.
We have 2 million people in Denver. We have a convention center. We have a baseball team. We have 32 million tourists a year. I think we'll pay off this investment in about a year.
3 weeks ago today, 28 casinos were licensed to open in Colorado. Of the owners, only one, a Swiss corporation, has been in the gaming business before. The rest are businessmen like Fred Kaufman, who for 34 years has been selling clothes.
Where's the mob? Where's the gangsters? I have talked to some of them, if you will, people that I have known throughout the years, and $5 gaming is not their concern.
The Colorado owners, like Kaufman, have had no trouble finding, mostly amongst their friends, investors who quickly determined casinos were probably safer than stocks and bonds.
Our outside investors, limited liability partners, if you will get their money back within a year. And so would you if you invested.
And then they'll start making money.
They will make money at the same rate.
Which is more than 10%.
That is closer to 100%.
When the one-armed bandits were turned on, the state estimated each machine would clear at the minimum $40 a day. Gambling is still a new adventure, and the excitement for players won't last forever. But many of the slot machines are bringing in more than $300 profit each per day. Roger O'Neill, NBC News, Central City, Colorado.
That's Nightly News for this Monday night. I'm Tom Brokaw. I'll see you tomorrow night.
When the dealing's done, you got to know when to hold up, know when to fold up, know when to walk away, know when to run. You never count your money. When you're sitting at the table, there'll be time enough counting when the deal's done.
Attention Murphy Brown fans. Tonight, Murphy Brown is a repeat. Look what NBC has instead. Danielle Steele's bestsellers. Lee Horsley in Palomino. Patrick Duffy and Linda Carter in Daddy. Two of Danielle Steele's hottest. Palomino tonight, Daddy Wednesday, both on NBC.
This week, Bill Cosby, Belinda Carlisle, Quincy Jones, and Brian Wilson with Bryant Gumbel and Katie Couric this week on Today.
The Ross Fall Clearance. Save on menswear, women's wear, kids wear, playwear, sleepwear, sportswear, dress wear.